a playlist original.
Hey, what's up? It's your host, Torry, and who is ready to be petty? Welcome back to another episode of RTBP. I'm so glad you're here, and I am rounding out our 3-part bonus series of And Just Like That Season 2 coverage with Maddy from Parked Car Convos. And it was a super fun episode. I will put episodes 1 and 2 in the episode show notes. So if you haven't listened to those episodes, you can do that. But it was so fun covering this season with the 3 girls. I had Lisa, Jenna, and of course Maddy on. And couldn't have been more fun. It was a delight to watch this series because of podcasting with them. I am going to do a part 2 to this episode because I got so many great listener comments that due to just time, I wasn't able to include in the episode. So I'm going to record a bonus to the bonus. So definitely check that out. Okay, friends, without a further ado, here's my conversation with Maddy. I'm back with a very special guest. Maddy from Parked Car Convos is here. Maddy, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm so good. I was like, because we're marathon podcasters, I literally got myself a water, lit a candle. I was like, we're going to be here for a while. And I'm kind of glad we don't have to go detail by detail today.
No, it's that would be painstaking, but we would have done it.
We would have done it, but it's the fact that some of the most brutal TV that I've ever watched was included in this season.
Yeah.
We don't have to relive that trauma.
No, we don't. I also recently, one of my best friends just started watching Sex and the City for the first time.
Yeah.
And I go, promise me you will never watch this reboot. I was like, it will ruin everything. Because she's loving Sex and the City, obviously. And I'm like, you can't touch, you can't. Because I know you're going to want to, naturally. You're going to be curious. I said, don't do it.
No, that's so true. And tell her not to watch the movies either.
She watched one of the movies on a plane, and that's what got her into it. I'm like, that's scary that
you wanted to watch more after that. Yeah, that's fucking brutal.
Yeah, so brutal.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about episodes 8 through 11, but I wanted to hear about your first, how was the first half of this season for you?
It was a lot, and I think we talked about this with last season too. There's just so many characters that I feel like they're trying to do too much, and then I think that's kind of why the end of the season felt so incomplete, because there was so many other storylines to kind of wrap up that they just didn't have time to. So that was kind of something that it was I like all of the characters for the most part. So I enjoyed watching their storylines, but at the same time, it's we're just getting little bits and pieces of everyone.
Yeah.
And it feels it's not, I don't know. But yeah, it was more of the same. And I was expecting that.
Yeah. It literally was in the same
the best
vein.
way I can put it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But you're so right. I actually like all these characters. Even Che. Che has their good moments and brings the comedy. Not in their stand-up though. Just in their real life.
No, I need to know who's writing their stand-up, because that's horrible.
Horrendous. But there was a little bit of drama. Sarah Ramirez, the actor that plays Che, got a cut article written about them and clapped back at the criticisms that were in the article. So we'll see.
I saw something about that, but I didn't dive too deep into it, but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, well, I covered on episode 151. That's coming out on Sunday. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Now I'll be all caught up.
Totally. Okay, let's dive into episode 8. We're just gonna go character by character, but we're just gonna do the high level kind of drama. So Carrie and Aiden, at this point, a month has passed since their first February 14th dinner. And they're just in honeymoon heaven.
One thing I will say is the passing of time in the show is so confusing.
I know.
They do not even try to make it clear what's going on or like where we're at ever.
All of a sudden they're like 3 weeks has passed. Like
they say it in the most like, of course we would know that. And it's like, what are you talking about? How is it fall? How is it winter? Like, what's going on? It's very confusing.
Oh, yeah, because they were in their winter coats like 2 episodes ago, and now it's like spring.
It's so weird. And then by the end of the season, they're talking about like going on like a summer trip. So
yeah,
it's like,
to the Hamptons.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who fucking knows? But Carrie is doing what she normally does, like fully invested in the guy, dropping her friends. But she's walking on the street with Miranda. And she's like, I am having like the best time. Like, did I make a mistake cheating on Aiden with Big? Like, was marrying Big the mistake? Should I have been with Aiden this whole time?
I thought that was weird. That was a weird thing to say about your deceased husband. Your not long deceased husband. Like, I kind of regret ever being with him. Kind of weird. I think I should have been with this guy the whole time because he's still alive. Like, that's low key the vibe she was giving off.
No, I
which
know.
Was so strange.
It was so ugly. And the way that she said it was a big mistake. Like she was writing one of her Sex and the City columns. I was like, I fucking hate you. Like,
no, yeah, that was. But it was also weird because like it was brought up and then it was just like never touched on again. I'm like,
oh yeah, that's a good point.
You entirely just questioned like the last 20 years of your life, and now you're like, nah.
I'm good. So they're
like moving on though.
Yeah, it's actually that's like the theme of this season though, is just like a storyline and then dropping it out of nowhere
because they don't have enough time to like pick back up on like was Big a mistake. Like, come on.
Yeah, and
kind of a big one.
Yeah, this is another bone I have to pick. It's like in Sex and the City, it was, I'm pretty sure, 24 episodes a season, half hour. This is only 10 episodes. Like, bring back the 24 episode seasons. Like, you just can't cover enough good shit or like as in depth as you need to when you only do 10 episodes.
That, or just like, why did you introduce all of these characters to such an extent? Like, they could have had, like Seema could have been more of a side character, which like she is, but like there's still scenes that it's like just her and none of the other like main characters.
Yeah.
So like it's so weird the way that they did that. And it's like I love all those characters, so I'm glad that we get to see them a lot, but at the same time, it's like if you're just like half-assing it, it's like what's the point?
Yeah, it kind of is a disservice to both the main cast and the supporting characters, because it's like the supporting characters don't get to be well-rounded and we see them and it's kind of fucking random. And then the main cast, they just skip over a bunch of stuff because they have to make time for the new cast.
Right.
So it's like a lose-lose. Did you like Aiden coming back and like their honeymoon phase? Like, do you think that this is the right time for Aiden? Were you team Aiden or team Big when you first watched the show?
I think I was. I went through phases because there was definitely times where I loved Aiden, but I think ultimately I was team Big. But I thought just the whole thing seemed so random that she's like, oh, I'll just email him. And then the next episode he's there and they're like in love again. Like it was just like so quick.
Yeah.
And I remember we had talked about this, I think the last time I was on the podcast, we had talked because we had just seen that he was going to be in this season from like the leaked photos and everything. And I thought they were going to do it more like he just happened to be in New York and they like ran into each other and it was this like beautiful thing. But instead she was like emailing him like, hey, stranger. And then he's like there. It's like that kind of like took it out of it for me because I was like, that's so, I don't know, that's like too real. I don't like that. But no, but they were definitely really cute together. Although I was kind of like, her friends were saying like, you seem to be like moving super fast with him. And it's like, yeah, they were in a relationship for like a long time. So like, I get that. But it did seem like they were like really jumping in the deep end.
Totally.
But yeah, they're cute.
Yeah. They were super cute in this episode. They're like in Che's apartment and going houseware shopping. And they do exactly what I do when you are like trying to sneak an extra person into a hotel or like something like that, where you're like the most awkward, like just throwing like verbal diarrhea, like facts to like strangers in the elevator. Like I've done that so many times. Oh my God. And then Che, like, oh my God, asks why it doesn't work out. And they're like,
but then they were like fully embracing in that moment. And I'm like, there is another person in this room right now. It seems like such a weird time to be like, I made a mistake.
yeah.
Like caresses him. I'm like, oh my God.
I hated that so much. Also,
it was so intimate.
It was so intimate. And it's like, did they actually work out what the mistake was? Like, I know the mistake was the cheating, but did they work out like why she was cheating? And like,
no,
I did like in another episode, I don't think it was this one, how he was like, I was trying to lock you down because I felt out of control. Like that was, I was like, oh, that's real life. But like, yeah, like what was she doing to make him feel out of control? I guess cheating on him, but he didn't know that. Like, I don't know. There was just like so much that we just didn't like. That would have been interesting to dive into.
Totally.
So Seema is really upset with Carrie because she's single. She's talked about how she has never had like a great love and how Carrie has had two. And Carrie like kind of ghosts her with the Hamptons and stuff like that. And so they're at a hair salon.
Carrie.
Yeah, literally classic Carrie. They're at a hair salon and Seema straight up ignores her. What would you have done in this situation? Like, are you...
If I was Carrie or if I was Seema?
If you were Seema.
I don't get why she ignored her. That seemed really dramatic.
Okay, but like I would have done that. Like,
really?
Yeah. Just because I don't want to confront her at that moment.
Yeah, no, I get that. But like she had to walk literally right in front of her. I was like, how do you think this is gonna work, girl?
Yeah.
Seema seemed so different this season in general. I feel like last season she was so like boss bitch, like so confident, and this season she was like, I don't know. I feel like she was kind of
struggling a bit.
Yeah, in a way that I was like, it didn't feel like it was her character kind of, but yeah, this was an awkward encounter, but I totally get what she was saying. Like she didn't want to
That's been me.
Go to the Hamptons for the summer with a couple. That's not fun at all. No, I totally get that. Yeah.
She says, I won't love who I am around him. And I also really like that too, because it's like, as much as you work on yourself, I feel like with, you know, certain insecurities, this one being that she doesn't have like a long-term partner, I feel like outside stuff can still be triggering, and like
totally,
and like as much therapy and stuff as you can do, like sometimes you just can't do that, and I think that's so relatable.
No, it was like a super honest conversation, which was necessary, so I'm glad that Carrie didn't let her ignore her.
Yeah, that was good. But she eventually comes around and meets Aiden, and it's like super cute.
Which is that was really cute when she goes to the dinner.
Yeah. So this was a fun plot line. Miranda gets her internship back at the Human Rights Watch, and her like I guess Gen Z or millennial colleagues are like talking shit about her, and like being so fucking rude. And it's like,
rude.
You work at the Human Rights Watch, so you should like, I don't know, have empathy, like be polite.
You would literally think, bare minimum, you would not be an asshole. Yeah, that was a weird thing. And it was also like when her boss was like, why do you feel bad for these other interns? I was kind of like, no, so true. Like you literally have so much experience. Like that checks, like it all tracks. Like, you know what I mean?
Totally. And like, why are those interns being rude to her when she's clearly, and like they would have talked about this at some point, she was a Harvard lawyer. She was top of her grad class, and she was a practicing lawyer for 30 years, and she's doing her master's. Like, of course, like, it doesn't matter that they've been there for like an extra 6 months or whatever. She's
right.
At least in my eyes, it's like she just has way more experience and stuff. Like,
no,
it makes sense. She would jump to like taking notes in a meeting.
Like the esteemed role of note taker. Yeah.
But it just bothers me so much how Miranda is still, we talked about this extensively when we covered season 1, but she's like a bumbling idiot. Like, why does she not pick up the cues that like that she should have? I don't know. Like, it's not like first come, first serve. Like, it makes sense for her as like a literally high powered attorney for many years to like, I don't know, just like have people base her tasks on her experience versus like just time at the company. Like, I don't know. She just seems like so lost to that.
No, she's like definitely still in her bumbling idiot era, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Hoping for a redemption arc in season 3 because I can't deal with it anymore.
Because it's still end of season 2 and she's still a mess.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe that's a little bit more relatable if we do see it as like she was like so high strung, so go-getter in her late 20s and 30s when we saw her last, that maybe she missed some of the like personal development, like because she was so career focused that she just like,
that could be actually,
yeah, like missed some of this other stuff. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. That could be. You'll have to write to the writers.
Yeah,
and
like,
inquire.
hey, quick cue. Can I just like, yeah.
I unfortunately don't know if they thought about it as much as we're doing right now. Based on a lot of the script, I would have to think we're diving way deeper into these things than they ever did. Yeah. But
literally. Charlotte takes her on her full-time job at the art gallery, and the kids are thrilled to see her leave the house because they're fucking assholes. Like, if I had to give worst character awards out this season, it's to fucking Rock and Lily.
I'm trying to think if there was anyone that I thought was worse. Oh, Wyatt. Is that F to say? I don't care. He was weird. Up until
yeah, I know you don't mean the car crash, but like
no. Up until his like actual breakdown.
Yeah,
there's actually no saving that.
Yeah, 100%.
There's no saving that. He's just like, he was in his villain era a little bit,
but I'm like, how could Aiden, such a sweet soul, and Kathy, who seems totally normal, create a monster of a child? Like,
yeah, that it was something weird that I was just kind of like, where did this come from? Like, what is this? Yeah. But yeah, Charlotte has asshole kids.
Yeah, for sure. So she goes with Lisa to get some new clothes. She's worried about her mom. I wrote mum pouch, but I think it's mum pooch. Possibly.
Yeah, I think it is pooch.
Yeah. So I wrote the most unhinged notes for this. So
No, you did.
So she looks at old pictures of the girls when she's like younger and skinnier, and she gets an inspo pick out, like we've all fucking been there, and decides to just like develop an ED and just drink bone broth for days.
Yeah, she truly makes the conscious decision. I'm gonna try to lose, and then keeps talking about how she used to be able to like lose 5 pounds in like a day. I'm like, that was never okay. Just because you could.
And then they just again don't dive into that.
No, they don't. She just like takes off the Spanx at one point. Like, I'm healed.
Yeah.
I don't need these.
No, but this is the worst part, is that she goes to the gallery in 2 pairs of Spanx. She can't fucking breathe. And then she sees a larger person in a crop top looking chic and confident. And she's like, you know what? If you can do it, I can do it. And then she like cuts them off. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I don't know. I just think that memo is like problematic, but
I think me trying to put a positive spin on something otherwise problematic, it also could have been an ode to when she used to work in a gallery, and it was like the standards at that point were so different, and she had to be so like prim and proper, and like they only wanted these like model skinny people in the gallery representing the like their art and things like that. So I was kind of taking it to be like, oh, now it's just they want people who like have that skill set and like have the knowledge about, you know, and have the personality to like, so that's kind of how I was taking it. She's like, okay, wait, we don't have these same like standards anymore. I don't have to look as like prim and proper as like I used to have to look, and I don't have to be worried about that. And it's more about having the skills to do the job, like like it should have always been about. But
yeah, okay,
that's kind of how I saw it.
Thank you. Like I actually like needed that, because I was hating on this scene so much.
It's like, again, we need to write to the writers because like you're not clearly communicating here.
Literally. I'm
Yeah.
taking fucking notes. Like, I'm watching this on a split
Yeah.
screen.
No, they didn't take any notes.
It's like, if I'm not getting this, like, no one
Right.
is.
No, I think they had like a first draft and they're like, sure, we'll just
Let's go.
submit. Yeah.
So Anthony, our last little character in episode 8, is working with Giuseppe, the Italian poet. They have like an erotic ghost moment where, do you know the movie Ghost?
I don't know.
Okay, there's this moment where, like, I guess that I've never watched it either, but apparently there's this iconic moment where they are the main characters. There's like a potting wheel, and like one is sitting behind the others and working the clay. And then they do this same thing with the dough. Again, the cleanliness standards in this fucking shop, like, please get them shut down. Like,
No, yeah, it was not good. He's like, no, you have to do it like this. And also, like, I'm no baker, but like his technique seemed off a bit. It's kind of like, I'm like, I don't think you have to go that hard, but I'm also not Italian, so what do I know?
Well, that's the other thing. It's like, do you have any other skills other than being Italian? Like, not any other skills, but like, do you have like a certificate in like cooking or like baking or something? Because like,
yeah, his plot line was so weird. It was so sporadic. It's like we found him on the street. He's on the show, on the Drew Barrymore. Like, what was that? then Anthony's like, you have to work for me. Like, that was weird.
yeah, but he doesn't. He's like, yeah, you have to continue to work with me. But then he finds out he's gay, and then he's like, actually, you can't work with me.
In like the weirdest way possible. Like, he was so. That was dramatic. He's like, get away from me.
He's like running around the kitchen.
he's like writhing in pain at the fact that Giuseppe's gay. He like suddenly he cannot control himself in any capacity.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Have you ever met someone where you have to physically move out of their way because you can't control yourself? Like, what?
No, and I think I'm in good company with that. Yeah. I don't think a lot of people have had such visceral reactions to finding out that someone else might be sexually attracted to them, but they're like, oh.
It's like giving,
yeah, it was over the top.
It was giving Edward Cullen in the bio lab when he first meets Bella, and he's like,
no, you're so right. You're so right.
God. Okay, episode 9. This was my favorite episode of the season. It felt the most like Sex in the City.
I saw you write that and I was like, actually so true, because it definitely, it was just like it was a good episode. Yeah.
I wonder, I'll look it up after the fact, but I wonder if they had like a different writer or something like that.
A writer that took notes, a writer that knew what she was doing.
So Carrie has now met Aiden's kids, and they straight up just didn't show that.
No. And also Torry did write Wyatt is fucking weird. So I'm not alone in this.
You're not the
in
asshole.
Good company.
Yeah. So that was like, again, I guess a time lapse. I was like, that would have been fun to see.
I would have loved to see Carrie at a farm. That's something that I felt like this was missing this season, was Carrie in Aiden's environment. Yeah.
And then we could have had so many flashbacks to when she went to the cabin.
Exactly. I was like, I need that duality here. Yeah, we didn't have it.
Yeah. But Wyatt, the 14-year-old, FaceTimes with Aiden and Carrie, and like he's just such a dick to Carrie, which I think that part is normal in terms of like
totally
teens and like their
parents dating. Yeah, totally. Wait, one thing we didn't touch on that I'm remembering, what were your general thoughts on Aiden literally not wanting to step foot in Carrie's apartment?
Oh,
because we just didn't talk about, maybe you talked about it, I can't remember when that happened, but
yeah, it happened I think prior to these episodes, but like there's a point that I get it, because it's like he was obviously like really fucked up about it, but it's like, okay, but if you haven't moved past that not moved past, healed from that, which was again like 15 to 25 years ago. Like, I think that's a little weird.
I thought it was just like I thought it was so strange. And like just all of the extra hoops that they had to jump to because he literally wouldn't step foot in like the place where she lived. And also how just like unrealistic that would be in any other circumstance. Like, could you imagine if you start dating someone and they're like, I won't go? It's like, okay, hey, well, I'm not made of money. I can't get this hotel all the time.
But Carrie fucking is, allegedly.
Yeah, she is, but like I was like, that just seems so. And then like to be him and see her having to like jump through all these hoops to like get them hotel rooms and then like sublet from Shay and like all this stuff. I'm like, wouldn't you kind of feel bad and be like, okay, fine, we can like. I feel like at some point I would have caved because that's like so weird. And it was just like always dramatic. And he was like, I will never. Like he had to be so serious about it. That was a lot.
Totally. And if I was Carrie, I'd be like, also, I have renovated the place so much that you like literally can't even tell it's the same apartment.
Totally.
Like the only thing that's like the same is like the fucking rotary phone. Everything else looks like different.
Totally different.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of like, I get why you would maybe be upset, but like for months not being able to do it and having to shell out all of this money is ridiculous.
It was just a lot. Yeah.
It was so much. But Carrie's finally fed up with that and she says, Seema, I need you to find me a place because I'm going to sell the apartment. And she looks at one that is 4 bedrooms, 3 bath that she ends up getting with a fucking private park in like access to a park in Gramercy. Like, was Big
Gramercy
that
Park.
rich? Like,
apparently. No, apparently. I know. I thought that was kind of strange too. In this season, they like touched on how rich Carrie was like several times. And it was also so weird because like Miranda didn't have a place to live. And Carrie's just like, sorry, I have to go buy a brand new home for myself. Like it was so weird.
With 4 bedrooms. Yeah. And she like didn't offer Miranda the old apartment. She didn't offer her to fucking stick her up at a hotel for a little bit. Like, why didn't Miranda sublet Shay's apartment? Like, I'm just so confused.
Yeah. She had so many options and she really chose the worst one.
Literally. Yeah. And it wouldn't have been bad if Naya's bathroom wasn't through her bedroom.
Totally.
Yeah.
But it was still like a super small room. Like she was sleeping like a twin size bed. Right. I'm like, you could have done a little bit better. Yeah. You have connections. You know 56.
People. Like, this is sad. Like,
it was sad.
Yeah. So Kathy, Aiden's ex, goes for coffee with Carrie, and she said she's read her book, Loved and Lost. She asks her not to write about the boys, and she says, you can't hurt him again.
Mm-hmm. It was just kind of like a nothing moment.
Totally. And then I actually called this. I wrote in the notes, bumps into Lizette, will probably offer her the apartment in a future episode, and that is what happens.
Yeah, I thought that was cute.
Yeah. Me too. So go ahead.
Predict a Lizette spinoff.
I would watch that in a heartbeat.
I feel like they're grooming her to be the next Carrie Bradshaw. Yeah. Like she takes over the apartment. She has Carrie. I could so see that happening at some point.
Oh yeah, she has Carrie hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and she's just like in her like young in New York era. Yeah, I could see that happening. Yeah,
I would love that.
Mm-hmm.
So Miranda is still upset that Brady is not going to college. So she asks Charlotte for Lily to hang out with Brady. And it's just like, yeah, let's put the emotional labor and like on this younger girl. Like, this is just so classic. Like, no offense, but flop boy. And then like, I see this all the time with like siblings or whatever, or friends or whatever. It's like flop boy. And then it's like, oh, we'll get the good girl to like fix him.
To be a good influence on him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also like, what is she supposed to say? Like, college is cool. You should go. Like he doesn't want to go, Miranda. Get over it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was weird. Especially because like she's not even in college. She's literally still in high school. So like,
yeah.
And like, how is it supposed to, like, she goes to see him at the bar he works at, and what? She's supposed to be like, have you done your homework? Like, ew, I don't understand the end point there. And then it's like they're so shocked when they end up hooking up. It's like, what did you think was gonna happen? You forced them to
know.
be together, essentially.
You set them up on a date, basically.
And then Charlotte like completely spirals. And
Yeah.
it's like, unless they get married, I'm like, girl, we need to all take it down several notches.
But that's
And then
so Charlotte. Like,
and then it's never brought up again.
literally, they're like seen at the party for I think Herbert,
Yeah.
and
They like get pizza or something. It's like
yeah,
so anticlimactic. Yeah.
yeah. Oh my god, that's
So
so
weird.
cringe. So yeah, she's Charlotte's spiraling about Lily and Brady. Harry is planning Herbert's event. Why?
No. Also, just like generally speaking, the intertwining of all of these people, I cannot get it straight because it just feels like some people, like obviously like Lisa and Charlotte are like really close friends, more so than like Lisa is with other women in the group.
Yeah.
But it just seems like randomly there'll be like these, and I'm like, oh, I was not under the impression that like you guys were that close. Like, why is that happening? Why is he planning his like campaign kickoff party or something? It was so random.
Because
Yeah.
isn't he a divorce lawyer? Isn't that how he met Charlotte?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was weird.
That was weird.
And then Mark, who is the art gallery guy that offered Charlotte a job, comes to the event and Harry thinks he's into Charlotte. Did you get those vibes?
No. I kind of thought that they were gonna push that in that direction, and like I thought we would see more of the two of them interacting, but we never even saw him at the gallery ever.
No.
Right? So it's like I was kind of seeing that initially when he offered her the job. I was like, oh, I could see that turning into like them working together all the time, and then he like is really into her, but that we didn't even see them together ever again. So I was
No.
like, that seemed totally off base.
Another fucking plot hole.
It just made no sense. Yeah, it was
Totally.
weird.
But settle this for the listeners. Do you get like
Now I'm scared.
Do you think Victor Garber is hot? Do you think he has sex appeal?
Wait, is that Mark? I don't know.
Yeah. Please look it up.
Victor what?
Garber.
I hate that name.
He is
No.
Canadian.
No.
No, stop. Okay, maybe you have to
No.
see him in action. And
Sorry,
slightly
I'm
younger.
looking at 5 pictures of him right now and just no. It's like a act, like I actually cannot imagine a world where this man. What do I know him from? I'm trying to think now.
My favorite role of him is
Legally Blonde. He's in Legally Blonde.
yeah, he's the creepy professor in Legally Blonde. My
Maybe
favorite,
that's why.
Maybe that's
why I
why.
have a
That's fair. That's actually legitimate. My favorite role of his is in the Brandy version of Cinderella.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But okay, sure. You're throwing in your vote. Victor Garber, not hot.
No, not hot.
Okay. Lisa is falling asleep everywhere. She finds out she's pregnant and she's like just worried because, well, this is bleeding into episode 9, or 10, but she is worried just because it's like not the time. She has like 2 teenage kids.
Totally.
And this was a surprise for her and Herbert.
And this was like another thing that like this whole incident could have spanned over the course of like the whole season, and it lasted for like 2 episodes, and then it was just kind of like that was so again so like why did you have to do that? Like, why did we didn't need this, you know what I mean? It didn't like add to anything. I feel like it was so strange.
Which fucking sucks because I actually love the storyline because I've never seen it in any TV. As an older woman getting knocked up and considering an abortion, I feel like when you think of abortions, you think of like a 16-year-old girl or like a 20-year-old girl or whatever.
Totally.
And so I was like, this is so interesting. And then it was just, I thought the acting was also very beautiful, but like
Agreed. They handled it well.
They
for
handled
sure.
it so well, but then it was like, it was like a total of 10 minutes.
It almost seems like they wanted to write it in just so they could talk about like abortion rights. Do you know what I mean? It was like that's a point of like social justice activism that we haven't touched on this season.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
we have to
Remember
work
your
it
list?
somehow.
Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Like they're like, someone has to get pregnant so we can talk
Yeah.
about this.
Well,
and then they're like, okay, moving on.
Moving on. Well, Lisa literally is like, because I think one of them is like, oh yeah, like we could consider an abortion. And she was like, I love that I have that right. Like, I feel like she was like direct look to camera. I love that I have that right, but I don't think that's
it's
for
like
me. Like,
you could like almost see it like I could see them panning and she's like wearing a t-shirt that's like pro row. It's like, okay, well, yeah, we knew. Thanks.
yeah. Yeah.
Like it has some like abortion fund on it that's like donate. Like that's what it seemed like. It was almost like so orchestrated.
Totally.
But no, they did handle it well, so that was good.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like we knew Queen Lisa, like honestly best character of the show isn't gonna be anti-abortion.
Totally. Like, totally. It wasn't a question in anyone's mind.
Yeah. So Naya, this is brutal. She's having good sex with like randos off of Tinder, but she accidentally opens Instagram and sees that Andre did knock up Heidi with a hat.
Yeah, that and then that's kind of also like brushed over. That like her like very recent like long-term life partner is now getting another woman pregnant.
Yeah, within months.
Yeah, it was so quick.
Yeah.
So quick.
No, totally.
Yeah, that was a lot.
I felt really bad for Naya.
Yeah, I do too.
She had a rough season. Che is still working at the vets, flirts with another non-binary person, Toby, and brings a kid into Carrie's and I put never to be mentioned again, but we actually do get shoes.
But it was random.
No,
I'm not okay with that.
We get shoes introduction again in episode 11.
Also, really cute cat though.
Really cute.
Really cute cat.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, also just like unhinged to bring someone a cat and like leave it with them. Like, oh. Also, Carrie, not the most responsible. So like kind of a bold choice.
She fucking leaves to Greece. Where's Shoe? Like
where literally where is Shoe? I have an APB out for Shoe, the cat, because I need to find him. Yeah, that was unhinged.
Yeah. Seema is sleeping with Ravi Gordy, the director, in his new rental apartment that costs $37,000 a month.
Which is like totally the same budget as me. But yeah,
that's not my year's salary.
This whole plot line, it was so not done well. They gave us no reason to like this Ravi guy at all. And then Seema's like, I'm in love with him and I've never felt anything like this. And it's like, girl, based on what? We haven't seen that. No. And they like wanted us to think this is like Seema's great love story. And I'm like, he's always on his phone. She hates him. Yeah. She literally hates him. And she's like, I've just never felt like this before. I'm like, I think you have. I don't think you like him at all.
No,
and they like expected us to see it through this lens of like, finally she's in love. And it's like, no one was getting those vibes. Yeah, that was weird.
I know. I felt really, really bad.
But I also, and I'm sure you've talked about this in other episodes, the guy that she was dating at the beginning of the season, like they had way better chemistry and everything. So that was so weird to me that they never ended up revisiting that later. I kept waiting for him to like pop back up like towards the end of this season and he just like didn't. And then she like has this new guy who just is like, I just didn't think they had like any chemistry, and we were supposed to all of a sudden be like, oh my god, finally she's in love, and like no she's not.
No,
who's gonna tell her that she's not in love?
No, I was like, this guy doesn't know one damn thing about you.
No, truly not a thing.
Yeah, and he's always on his phone and his movies don't seem great, even though fucking Aiden was obsessed with them. Like he couldn't shut the fuck up about them. Yeah, that was so wacky. Yeah, I do really feel bad for her because you're right. It's like the first 8 episodes, she's talking about how she's never had this great love, etc., etc. And then they just stick her with like the most random man. Yeah. Yeah,
and it's like if you're going to try and make it seem like that, there has to be like more of a build up too to like them falling in love. Instead, it's just like her blurting out that she loves him. And then she's like, oh no. It's like, what? What's going on with you, girl?
Also, if I'm 56 and I care about my mom pooch saying I love you during sex or fucking anything else these characters have, like, I'm going to be so sad. Like, this is why I'm in therapy. So when I'm 56, I'm not like this.
No, and that's so true. I live by that. I will not be okay if that's the case.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, some of these problems, I'm like, this could be so easily solved with like a tiny bit of therapy. Like,
yeah, or just like not caring, like trying a little bit to just like kind of not care,
kind of let
bit.
stuff go,
kind of let stuff pass you by.
Yeah. So Anthony is going out for dinner with Giuseppe. He's shy, but he's also feeling uncomfortable that he's not divorced from Stanford. And yeah, I don't even want to fucking talk about their next storyline. But Giuseppe calls him Tony, like in West Side Story, but also as a nickname. And I thought that was really cute.
I didn't.
What?
I just didn't like him calling him Tony. He was like, that's literally... Stop calling me that. And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay.
I thought it was cute.
Okay. Yeah, just like two different kinds of people, I guess. Yeah. The part that I really thought it was a huge jump for Anthony to be like, oh, he's using me for a green card based on actually what? Like, because he calls you Tony. He like wants to get married to you. It's like such a crazy. And then he's like, no, I'm literally a citizen here. Like, get fucking owned, Anthony. I'm a citizen. You can screw up.
You prejudiced fuck. Like, Jesus Christ.
Seriously. What do you have against Italians, Anthony? Like, I can't. Yeah, that was a weird, and so such like for nothing.
Yeah, literally no payoff. But once that's settled, they hook up and like hopefully things are a little bit better till the next episode.
Until it gets bad again.
Okay, episode 10. Carrie and Aiden go to Coney Island to see Steve's new like fucking hot dog stand or something. Another
I don't know. I'm just happy for Steve.
Okay.
No, I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
He seems to be going back to his roots, which I love.
That's true. Like non-pretentious Brooklyn bullshit.
Yeah, he was never about that life. Yeah. And we all knew it. So it was kind of beautiful to see him return to his roots.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wyatt continues to be annoying and is calling Aiden, foreshadowing for what happens later on in the episode. Mm-hmm. And Carrie wins a dinner for 16 people. Which,
like, the odds that it's 16 people, like the exact number of all the cast, like, shut up.
Yeah. And, like, so she's like, okay, we're going to do a Last Supper at the apartment because
so cute.
The Michelin star chef will come and do everything. And I will say, like, all the candles and all of the, like, napkins and, like, silverware.
No, it looked so cute.
It looked so good. I was angry.
Okay.
We find out that, we see Carrie tell Miranda that she's hanging out with Che and Steve and is like, yeah, you, like, full out, like, cut off your exes once you break up with them. But, like, I want to let you know that they're still a part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Carrie basically give her apartment to Lizette and keep the cat. So she's, like, a changed woman.
Apparently. Yeah. All just, like, ugh.
Yeah, like, again, like, fucking nothing plot lines.
All just details we don't need, yeah.
Totally. And also, the Miranda thing, that's interesting. Like, she does cut off her exes. So, like, that would be, I think, cool to deep dive. And she, like, again, basically doesn't do that. I don't know. She, like, they talk about it for, like, 2 seconds.
I will say, though, besides, like, obviously her ex-husband, who she has a child with, like, obviously you would want to have a good relationship with your ex-husband with whom you have a child. I don't understand why they were making it out to be such a bad thing that she, like, cuts her. What is she supposed to do? Be friends with them all? Like, that's weird. That would be so weird if her, as, like, a grown woman in her 50s is, like, still friendly with, like,
Skipper,
her ex from, like, her. Yeah, like, it's, like, that's just, like, not necessary.
Yeah.
And she was, like, making it out to be, like, it was, or they were making, her friends were making it out to be, like, it was, like, she's so, like, tough. And it's, like, what's she supposed to do? Like, that's honestly healthy, I feel like, in a lot of circumstances.
Totally.
Like I said, it wouldn't be with, like, Steve. Like, I get that. And, like, Che, she's gonna have to see at, like, certain events, so, like, that makes sense. But I feel like they were, like, kind of painting that out to be, like, a super negative thing, and I'm like, okay,
yeah,
sorry, she's not, like, emailing her exes, like, years and years later saying,
fucking
like,
Carrie.
hey, stranger.
Yeah, like, literally. Literally.
Some people have boundaries and they can move on from things. Like,
literally,
so weird.
that's so true. Oh my God, that's so true. Yeah, I think that's fine too. Because also, and like also in TV shows, if she was friends with her exes, they wouldn't be in her life in terms of like a storyline. Like if
Right.
she was a real person, maybe she's seen get like them once in a while and getting coffee, but they're not like her best
That wouldn't
friends.
be right.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's weird.
Yeah, that would be weird. That's a really good point that I like didn't even really think about. Stanford writes a letter to Carrie and says that he's staying in Japan as a monk and sent divorce papers to Anthony. At some point, I kind of just want to be like, he passed away. And like, now they can't do that. But like,
this was such like an interesting choice for his brand to become a monk.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, you had so many options of how to kind of write him off the show with so much like admiration for this character, and you choose to like make him a monk, and he just like he's like, you can have all my stuff. That was just like weird to me. I had no. Yeah, I thought they could have done something more like heartfelt.
Totally.
A little bit.
Totally. Or just don't mention it. Like,
either or. If you're gonna do it, like do it nicely and like respectfully, and not just like, he like ran off to become, because they kind of were like, not Carrie so much, but Anthony was kind of like making fun of him. He's like, oh, he's a monk. Like, it's like, okay.
Like fucking brutal.
So uncomfortable to have to do a scene like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. When the person has actually passed away. Yeah.
Right.
I kind of just wish that he sent the divorce papers and then they divorced and they're just like, yeah, he's successful in Japan and likes living there. He'll visit when he can. Like, but I do like that Carrie approaches this conversation with 2 cocktails, and apparently her dummying that cocktail when they cheers to Stanny was impromptu. That wasn't written in the script. She did that as,
oh, really?
Yeah, just like a little ode to him.
Nice.
So
that's cute.
Yeah, I thought that was cute. Yeah, we have the conversation that I mentioned before about Aiden apologizing for trying to lock Carrie down. And again, I was like, more of this. This is what we want to see. Like, I love this. So everything's really good with them. But then Wyatt gets into a car crash. I took this as a like suicide attempt. Did you as well? Okay.
Until we learn more in the next episode.
That's like
I kind of thought after we learned that he was like drunk and like on shrooms when he did that, I was kind of more like, okay, maybe it was just like him being reckless. Like a reckless kid. But when they first said like he drove his car into a tree, like that obviously makes it sound like he intentionally did that.
Yeah.
But then learning that he was like drunk while he was doing that, I'm sure he probably didn't mean to run the car into a tree. I don't know though. They didn't, again, super unclear for like, could have made that a bit clearer.
Totally. And Aiden just like completely loses it. Fair enough. He like almost lost his kid. He wasn't there. He's feeling guilty, and there's like long-term repercussions. Like he like breaks his leg and totals the truck and stuff. And then Carrie's just like, yeah, take all the time you need. Like just fucking so apathetic. Like she's so bad.
Like on the phone with him, she's like, brakes heal. His son just wrapped his car around a tree.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's okay.
Yeah, like
a broken leg will heal. He'll be fine.
He'll be dancing soon enough. Like, what?
No, yeah, that was odd. Yeah, it was odd.
Like, okay, Carrie, he wasn't there, so he's feeling guilty. It's a fucking 14-year-old, so no license and on drugs and has alcohol in their system. Like, this is fucking bad. And she's just like, kids will be kids. Like, we'll get through this.
Yeah. It just like really drove the point home that like Carrie doesn't like know being a parent or like kids, you know what I mean? Which is kind of unfortunate for like her and Aiden, because it's like we're supposed to be rooting for them, but like she clearly like isn't a mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so true. So Miranda, her boss is back from mat leave, which again, I was like, okay, so did like 6 months just like jump ahead? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
But also I was like, okay, but I think that she only took like 3 months mat leave, and then, or a month or something like that. And I was like, hey, but if they work for the Human Rights Watch, they better have good fucking parental leaves. That's like the point of human rights. So I was like, this doesn't make sense.
That was such like an interesting point to be like, I have to keep working. I
yes.
was like, no, we're kind of going the opposite direction.
Yeah.
We've girl boss too close to the sun that now we're proving the wrong point. Yeah. This is
like
not the vibe.
Yeah, not the vibe at all. I was so fucking annoyed about that. She meets another lawyer at the UN. She diminishes herself once again, which again is just so fucking annoying. And then she goes to Che's show because she doesn't want to cut off her exes.
Just cut them off.
And fucking Che does the most insane set ever. The whole set is about Miranda and how much of a mess she was and why they were with her, and like obviously they didn't know that Miranda was going to be in the audience, but I thought like you would have enough respect. Like I think it's totally fair game to joke about ex relationships and stuff like that, but in such a way like to be like, yeah, she had no idea like what to do, or like
way too intimate, but also just it was so weird because their breakup wasn't really that bad. It's not like Miranda did some like huge horrible thing. Like they broke up pretty amicably. And so then for like that to be happening, I was like, this is like just weird because it just makes me not like Che, because it's like no respect for someone that really didn't do anything wrong towards you. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. I thought they had a mature breakup. And then also you think, okay, well, I still like cherish this person. So like, yeah, I can maybe make some like funny quips and jabs, but I'm not going to like obliterate them in my stand-up set. Like, and also Che, you're still fucking friends with Carrie. And like,
right. And Che knew that Carrie was going to be there. Yeah. So it's like, that was weird too. Even not knowing that Miranda was going to be there, you knew Carrie, Miranda's best friend, was going to be there. So like that's such an odd choice.
Yeah, it was so fucking bad. And then Miranda leaves the set. Che runs after her and like is like, sorry, but like I'm sick of like not telling my like truth or whatever, because they were looking at old videos of them when like pre coming out as non-binary and stuff like that. And I'm like, and so they're like, I'm tired of having to explain myself. I'm like, well, yeah, I get that they have to constantly explain their identity and constantly correct people and like for misgendering them and stuff like that. But like, I'm like, but this is a part that you kind of do have to explain yourself. Like that's taking accountability when you like have hurt someone's feelings.
Right. I know. I did not think that was handled well.
Yeah.
And then Che just like leaves with Toby. It was like that was such an abrupt way for like having this emotional fight with your ex in the street.
Yeah.
To just like turning around and be like, guess who that was? Like, oh.
Like, oops.
Just like added insult to injury. Like that was, yeah. It was
and
weird.
Like if I was Toby, I'd be like, yeah, you're kind of a dick for like suing your ex-girlfriend. And like making fun of like being a late stage lesbian, and like maybe we should not hang out. like
no, literally.
Charlotte sells a painting to Sam Smith and
naturally,
goes out for drinks with the girls, and she heads home wasted, and she finally snaps and says like, all three of you are like fucking ungrateful. You can't run this house without me. And like, I'm not going to be doing the majority of the work around the house. Like, you guys are gonna have to step up. And I'm like, fucking finally.
No, she popped off there, and for good reason.
Yeah. She really did. Seema, like we mentioned before, says I love you during sex, even though they've dated for 3.5 weeks.
But it's the love of her life, Torry.
Sorry,
so of course she did.
It might be. Like, we're not even gonna see him in season 3, but like, whatever.
No, yeah.
Naya's invited to Andre's baby shower and buys them a stroller. And then Lisa is worried because her documentary is becoming a 10-part series on PBS, but she's pregnant, so she doesn't know how she's going to balance it. And then this is when they have the conversation about an abortion. I actually was mad at Herbert at this part because Lisa fucking told him to get a vasectomy after their second kid. He doesn't.
Yes. And vasectomies are reversible. So if he
Yeah.
thought it was because she was hormonal, oh well. Get it
Like,
twice then,
yeah,
bitch.
like,
I don't
so
care.
get it twice, or tell your partner, no, we still need to use condoms because I
Right.
never got that vasectomy.
Right.
Like, fucking brutal. And then he offers to help. And it's like, no, you are the partner. You're supposed to be 50-50. You can't just help raise this child. Like, that just like pissed me off.
Yeah, it's like when dads say that like they're babysitting their own child. It's like, no, you're just being a father. Like,
Yeah, you're fathering your child. Like, it drives me like absolute.
Yeah,
It's one of my
I feel you.
biggest fucking pet peeves because I was like, I also love you so much, Herbert. I think he's a great character, and I was like,
Yeah,
quit with this shit. Like,
no, yeah, so
yeah.
weird.
But then later that night, unfortunately, Lisa has a miscarriage and she's feeling a lot of guilt in the finale because she's like, did I kind of like wish this or think this?
Which again is like so like such an important like theme. And I wish that they had had more time to touch on it because I feel like they just like rushed through it. And I feel like so many people could probably relate to that and were probably like invested in her being pregnant and everything. And so it's like, it just seems like so they did not do it justice, I feel like.
100%. Like, that is also such a universal feeling of having like negative thoughts and then the negative thing happens and you're like, oh my God, I like willed this to happen.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, they could have just done so much more with this and it's such a disservice to these characters. We wrap up this episode with Anthony. He's a top and Giuseppe is a verse. And Giuseppe's like, when do I get to fuck you? And he's like, oh no, like that's the girl's like that's the girl in the relationship. I was like, okay, internalized homophobia. Like,
no, seriously.
Yeah.
I also love that you wrote he loves Tony. Like
Giuseppe loves Tony.
Yeah. This was again just like it's just like such a half-cooked like plot line. You know what I mean? It's like brought up and they like talk about it a couple of times, but it's like not like anything. It doesn't amount to anything. You know what I mean?
And then also, again, not to get super graphic, but in episode 11, when he does finally bottom, he looks like he wants to kill himself. Like,
that was such an interesting choice on their part to
like you couldn't have made
depict that in the way that they did.
Yeah. Like, I get that, like, maybe the first time's uncomfortable, so he's, like, alarmed, but, like, he looked like he was so dissociating.
He was not in his body at that point in time. There's no evidence to support that. Yeah, he was not looking well.
Yeah. My God. So, but like they're at a good place. So like I'm happy for him. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, he's just talking about how he's like older school and Giuseppe is younger and have different values. So yeah, things that he needed to work out. But like, again, like we didn't get to see any of the like middle part to that.
Totally.
So we're cruising into episode 11. We finally get the moment we've all been waiting for. Samantha calls Carrie.
And boy, did it disappoint.
No, I literally was like, okay, also, it was 74 seconds. And it
was so quick.
It zooms by, and I actually, like, paused for a second, and I was like, what the actual fuck was this? Like, we actually just didn't need it at this point.
No, there was no point. And also, like, I also thought it was so weird because she's like, oh, I was on my way to surprise you, but now my flight's delayed, so I'm just like not coming at all. Like, because she's like, oh, I would have been on the first flight tomorrow back. Like, why? Why wouldn't you have like stayed to visit your longest friends in the like in you know what I mean? Because she didn't say she had a reason to get back.
No,
she was just like, I was on the first flight home in the morning. I was only gonna stay for a couple hours. Like, that was so weird because it just like didn't make sense. Like, yeah, I did not like that.
And her line delivery, like it was clear that it was a PA reading the lines back to
totally
Kim Cattrall and like carried the same. Like they didn't film that together, obviously.
Oh, obviously.
And her line delivery was like, my flight got delayed and I won't be able to make it on time, so I'm gonna miss your last supper. Like
it was just like not giving. Like it was very clear Kim did not want to be there, and like we knew that, but like you could have acted like you did.
I know. And she was like, oh, Pat Fields is back, like the stylist to do my outfit. bitch, you were sitting in a car. I didn't see the outfit. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it
It
was
was it
so
was so
dumb.
lame. Again,
Yeah.
another like underdone. Like if you're not gonna do it well, just like don't
Don't
do
do
it.
it.
Like same with basically all of the plot lines in this
Yeah.
season.
It's like, oh, your husband died, but I sent flowers, but now you're moving and I make a trip, but then
Yeah, and
don't.
I schedule like an emergency trip home, but then I actually can't be bothered to come and like actually spend time with you for more than a singular dinner party.
It's so bad.
Like if that was actually one of your friends and they were like, "Oh, I was coming home for your birthday, like dinner tonight, but I now I can't because my flight's delayed." It's like, wouldn't you still want to come at some like wouldn't you still try? Like that's just it was weird.
It was so bad. Yeah, it just made no sense. Do you think she'll be back for season 3 because season 2 is getting so much hype and like buzz?
No.
Yeah.
No. I don't think she will. And that's fine. I think they've done a really good job at like replacing her. Like I think Lisa is very Samantha coded.
No,
So is
Seema.
Seema.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, you
I
think
think
both
both
of
of
them?
them.
Oh.
Yeah. I think
Okay,
both. I
cool.
think Lisa has that like confidence and she's just like kind of like take no shit, kind of like Samantha. And so I feel like they do a good job of like filling in those gaps, but I just don't see her actually coming back. And if they did, I would literally be overwhelmed because I'm like, I don't need another character. Like, I
Yeah.
don't need more going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's so true. So Carrie hosts the party, and we're skipping around here a little bit, but at the end, Aiden arrives. He throws rocks at her window, which is a callback from a previous episode.
Hmm.
He finally comes into the apartment, and
To break up with her.
yeah, like to literally break up with her. I was like, oh,
To make more bad memories in this space.
no, this was like actually triggering for me because I was like, oh, where's his suitcase? And I was like, oh, this is just so obviously a breakup, and like,
Yeah.
this
No, we
didn't
saw it
feel good.
coming.
Like, Jesus
We
Christ.
saw
Yeah.
it coming. Yeah.
So he's like, Wyatt's 14 years old. This was actually a very serious situation. And Carrie's like, well, I can move there. Like, that's fair. You can't spend too much time here. You need to be present. And he's like, actually, no, because if you're there, I'm just going to be thinking about you the whole time. And he's like, can you wait 5 years for Wyatt to turn 20? Because he's almost 15. And then we'll get together. And Carrie's like, what? And then she's like, and like, I expect her to be like, no, like, that's not realistic. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do in the next 5 years?
No, no, seriously, because does he expect her to like literally not talk to any other man for 5 years? And also, like just because of everything that happened with Carrie and Big, like he literally died, and like she, like, why would you want to waste 5 more years not seeing the person that you love? Like that's such a crazy thing to ask, like a widow. Like, hey, I'm just like, we'll just waste another 5 years. We'll continue to live our separate lives and then come back. Like that is an insane thing to ask anyone.
Totally.
I so bizarre.
It was
But then
such a
they
weird plot
hook up
point.
and it's like, oh, of course.
Yeah. And then she's like,
And we see
okay,
so much of Aiden's side.
nude body. Like, I was like, oh my God.
I've
Like,
seen way too much of Aiden this season.
also, Carrie never has sex on camera. That I feel like she wrote that
Yeah.
into one of her, I think her season 2 contract. So I felt like them having sex and them showing so much of it, I was like, oh, this is like kind of a big deal.
Well, I also feel like Miranda specifically wrote it into her contract. She's like, I want you to show me having all the sex. It was so much. Like, so much.
Literally. Oh my God, that's so fucking true. So yeah, she's like okay with that. And then Seema's partner also kind of like tries to break up with her, but like not also, because he says he's also in love with her and he needs to go shoot in Egypt for 5 years or 5 months. Sorry, he's not
Yeah.
Aiden. And so they go to Greece together, which is fun, but it's like, okay, well, you guys can't like go on the hunt for guys or anything because you're technically still
Right.
dating your men.
Yeah, that was so weird. Just like a weird plot line in general. And also like Seema not wanting to go with him. was kind of confusing because it's like
Yeah.
you've made it out to be like he's the love of your life and if he wants you to go with him. But also they spend no quality time together. He's always on his phone and every single clip he was on his phone or he's like fucking vaping. And we're
Yeah.
supposed to be like, oh,
He's so
love of her
hot.
goddamn life. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the vibe.
And like also, if she can't go to Egypt, why is she in Greece?
Right.
And why
I
can't
mean,
she work remote
she could just
or
be-
something? Or like just do like a week off, a week on or whatever.
And she could be in Greece just for like a quick trip
Yeah.
as opposed to 5 months.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like a weird added thing that they did.
It was so
And like
fucking
as
brutal.
if Carrie going to Greece like changes that the next 5 years are
Yeah.
miserable and lonely. Like,
Do you think season 3 they're gonna do like a 5-year time jump?
oh my
At
God.
least that would get rid of Rock and Lily, like their current characters.
I don't know what they're gonna do, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
So is there any other things that you want to touch on specifically from this dinner party?
Oh, the Naya thing. I guess that was kind of like the biggest.
Oh, but that was like the worst thing in my life. Like, why was she doing the worst flirting so obnoxiously over dinner?
Yeah, she turned into like such a strange person when she became single. Like she was like, because I really liked her in like season 1 and in
Yeah.
this season she was kind of giving the bumbling idiot,
Yeah.
like, but in a different way, in like
Yeah.
a like relationship way. You know what I mean?
Totally, totally. No, that's
Yeah, that
so
was
true.
strange.
But like
It-
the actor Toussaint or whatever, like hot and like
Mhm.
I guess the foreshadowing with the chocolate souffle to the Michelin star
Totally.
chef, like that all makes sense. But like,
And like her not wanting to go that night, and then like Miranda forces her to go, and then
Yeah.
like she meets him. Like, yeah, cute, totally cute.
very cute. But like, why was she like, so you want me to lick this spoon? And then, oh, this exploded in my mouth. And I was
totally
just like,
forgot about that.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "What else do you have in store for us?" Like,
And
like, what do you want him to say?
all 15
Like-
other attendees were just sitting there like in absolute silence.
Like, do you two know each other? Like, I'm confused. Like, I just picture them being so confused. And then just like the montage of it all. That's
oh my God.
the final montage.
Yeah, because
Just-
they couldn't fit all of these storylines in. So they were just like, okay, we'll just put like a 5-minute montage, play like the music, like everything, the vibes were so off.
The fact that Charlotte was just like setting up her phone the entire montage. I'm like, what does this symbolize? Like, I'm not understanding what the relevance is of her setting up her phone.
100%.
weird.
Yeah. And like this
Because everyone else was like beautiful couples, like doing like, and she's like, I don't understand. Like, connect to the internet. I'm like, ew.
yeah, it's
What
like
is this?
all the couples being intimate and like
Right.
Miranda hitting it off with the BBC producer and then
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte just like can't figure out her iPhone.
Charlotte enters her bumbling idiot era for like the last like 5 minutes, and she's like, I don't get it. The
Literally.
phone.
So like I left this season mad at all the men like Herbert and Harry for like not being equal
Yes.
partners. Seema
Yeah.
for being Delulu with Ravi. Naya, honestly happy for her, even though she was kind of a loser in this last episode. And then like Lisa, again, Herbert and her like patched things up, so I'm happy for them. Happy for Anthony. If he's okay with after that sesh.
If that was like consensual
Sensual.
and like he's okay. Yeah.
And then like pissed at Carrie and Aiden.
Yeah.
I'm always pissed,
Pissed
at
at Aiden,
Miranda.
really.
Yeah, but for agreeing too, like, hello, like,
I mean, but we know that's not real. That's not how that will pan out.
yeah, no, there's no,
no way.
fucking way. And then like Charlotte, like, I don't know,
Charlotte just like not yet.
she's always just like non-existent in my like.
No, so
Thoughts,
true. She's
yeah.
like there, but she's not. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with season 3. I'm kind of confused as to how they'll proceed.
Yeah, me too.
Also, it's not going to come out for like 6 years. That's what I think about everything right now. I'm like, everyone's on strike. Like, there's no way that this is happening. For,
Maybe
like,
they're
so
doing
long.
mark this timestamp, everybody. Maybe they're doing the 5-year jump because maybe it doesn't come out till next year, and they like.
It seems insane to me that in a reboot that's already so many years later that you would do another jump like that. That's crazy.
Also, when has a TV show ever done that and made it work?
Never. Like, they're so lucky that they're getting season 3 of a fucking reboot. Like, you really have to hunker down now and like make it worth it. And I fear they won't. I fear it'll be a season 1 and season 2 all over again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think it'll be interesting to see like what Carrie's doing.
Yeah.
Like, that's like the one I'm most intrigued about in season 3, because everyone else I'm like kind of like, you're just boring.
Will we ever hear from Shu ever again?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think Shu will be there.
Okay, but in the 5-year jump, she's like an old cat, an old broad.
There will not be a 5-year jump. If they do, I'm sorry, I will not watch it. I can't, especially with all the, because they had the original show, then the movies, which were already jumps, then the reboot, which is another jump. They can't
let it go at that point. Let it fucking rest in peace.
But I am curious, because I feel like since Aiden became such like a key player in the season and he was like a main character for the last like 4 episodes, I feel like they'll want him to be part of season 3, but I don't understand how that would work.
Could you imagine though if in the first episode of season 3 they're like, yeah, so Aiden and I dated for six more months, and just like that we were broken up for like.
I feel like that's gonna happen. That's so unsustainable. There's no way.
Yeah.
And like, it also was just like, it kind of goes back to when they were dating in the actual show. Like, the biggest gripe between them was that like he was like a country boy and she was not. And it's like they're kind of just doing that all over. So it's like something's literally never changed. And like you were just fundamentally 2 different people.
Literally. And girls, if a guy says, wait for me for 5 years, like fucking run for the hills. Be like, no dice. Like, that's not how these things work.
Wait for what? Oh, God.
Yeah, for his tidy whities and his asshole children.
I'm so triggered.
Yeah, me too.
And his upper thigh.
Yeah, that was like, wait.
They should have titled the episode Aiden's upper thigh, because that's what this was.
That was way too much skin.
They clearly had, his contract was clearly like, show as much skin as possible. I want people to know I have a banging bod at this stage. Him and Miranda had the same contract for sure. They were like, just show us naked all the time.
Oh my God. Okay, this is super fun to go through all these episodes. Where can the listeners find you, and anything else you want to plug?
They can listen to my podcast, Parked Car Convos, anywhere you listen to podcasts, and you can follow me on TikTok at mad_Mitch.
Love that for you. I feel like every time you come on, you're like, I'm not consistent with podcast episodes, but know what? You fucking really are. Good. Yeah, you've been killing it.
I've been really good. It's all the free time I have. Yeah,
yeah, perfect.
Making good use out of it. Yeah.
Love that for you. Okay, thanks
so much for having me.
And there you have it. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you to Maddy for joining me on today's episode. If you're looking for more RTBP content, definitely check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/RTBP podcast, and follow me on socials at RTBP podcast. I appreciate you so much for listening, and I hope you are safe and healthy out there. As always, I'm your host, Torry, and I'm ready to be petty. See you soon. Bye.